today we are going to be doing our second icy soap in our January collection. You guys know I'm a big fan of ices, and another one that is such a good one, I think everybody likes these, is a cherry slushie. So if you would like to see how I create this soap, then please keep watching. Okay everyone, so I have my base oils here and I have already added my fragrance oil to it. Today we are using Black Cherry Balm from Nature's Garden. This is like one of my favorite cherry scents because this one is very intense. It lasts through the cure and it lasts so long. So if you're wanting like a very strong cherry scent, this is always my go-to one. So I have my lye water here and I have already added the sodium lactate, and then I have my base oils here. So we're just gonna combine these and I'm gonna mix it up with my stick blender. Okay, and I'm gonna mix this up just to emulsion. Okay, and for the soap, we are going to split this off into two separate containers. So I'm just going to try to do about equal half and half. And again, if it's not exactly right, that is okay. Just kind of close to it. Okay, for this first one, we are going to be using this red color. I have pre-dispersed it in the base oils. This is Trial by Fire from Nurture Soap. And I'm just going to mix this up into this one. I'm gonna give that a little mix right here. I'm gonna pour some of this back into my cup here just to get a little bit more of that color off the bottom of my container. Okay, and then for this one here, we are going to be adding titanium dioxide. Again, this one is pre-dispersed in the base oils. Want to mix this up really well, and this is just titanium dioxide from TKB Trading. And again, I'm gonna pour a little bit back in here just to mix up the rest of that off the bottom of my cup here. And another thing about this fragrance oil, it definitely tends to give you a lot of work time. It doesn't seize up or accelerate. So this one I might kind of overblend it just a little bit just to thicken it up a little bit quicker. Okay, I'm gonna pop that one in there and we're gonna give this one just a quick little blend. Okay, so now these are just a little bit thicker, which is exactly what I want. And we are going to do an in the pot swirl for this one. So I'm gonna be pouring the red into my white batter. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of red in the front, a little bit of red in the back, and then we'll do a little bit on the sides of each of these. And I'm gonna save just a little bit of this from the container to put on the top. Now I wanna just kind of give this like a quick little swirl in the pot just a little bit. And then as always, we're gonna be using the 10 bar mold here. And I'm just gonna do a pour with this one, nothing really that crazy, just kind of all over swirl. Kind of go back and forth a bit. Okay, and as always, just for fun, I'm just going to texture the top with my chopstick here, just for fun. I just like doing that. It's not really anything that ever gets seen because of the frosting, but it's just so much fun to do, so I never like to miss an opportunity to do a fun little swirl pattern on top of my soaps. Okay, I'm gonna let this set and we are going to come back with the soap frosting. Okay, so we have our piping here. I am just doing a cherry red piping to go with the theme, obviously, and the same fragrance oils. So this set up pretty nicely and I'm just gonna go ahead and start piping. I really like how the piping turned out. It set up nicely, it was easy to work with, and I don't do red frosting too often, so I think this looks really nice. And if you're ever wondering, this is about how much frosting I have left. It's a good amount, so I don't like to waste stuff, so I'll show you what I do with it. So this is what I do whenever I have leftover frosting and I want to save it as like a soap dough, or I could cut it up later. So I'm gonna take some saran wrap here, and then what I do, I just take all the frosting, I pipe as much of it out as I can get, and I also am still working on fine-tuning my frosting recipe to get like the exact amount that I need, because this is definitely a little bit more than I need to frost one 10-bar batch of soap. Okay, so that is pretty much all I can get out of here. The last little bit of this is just gonna get rinsed away when I wash my dishes. And then what you want to do is just wrap this up super tightly. I just like to take all the edges like this. Make sure I squeeze all that air out. And then I just roll it up super tightly like this. Try to get as much of the air out as possible. And then you just put this in an airtight container, let it sit for a couple days, and you can use it as soap dough. You could cut it up and make confetti out of it. You can do so many other things with it. And the airtight container is not negotiable. That is the main thing you got to do. So I never like to let my soap go to waste. So this is what I do with the leftover frosting. Okay guys, the next step for this is going to be adding our salt crystals. So I've made these ahead of time. This is just Epsom salt, and I added a little bit of the Trial by Fire mica in here and spritz it with alcohol, and that really kind of makes it stick to the salt granules a lot better. And then give it a little bit of time to air out. Since it's alcohol, it dries pretty quickly, so you don't have to make these like a long time ahead. You can do them probably like, I would say 30 minutes before you're making your soap. So for the sake of easier control, I am taking my gloves off. I'm just gonna be very careful to not touch the actual soap here. And I always like to make a lot more of the salt than you think you're going to need, because I'd rather have too much than not enough. So I'm just gonna start by just sprinkling some of the salt on here. And a lot of it will fall off whenever you are cutting the soap. So again, I just like to put on a lot more than you think. And of course, this is gonna make a big mess all over my workspace. That's just kind of inevitable part of making this type of soap. Okay, now I'm gonna turn this around, make sure I'm getting this side as well. And if you be very careful, you can kind of tilt your soap just a little bit. It kind of helps catch the salts just a little bit better, but you want to be very careful to not make your piping fall over. And I really like doing this technique. I feel like it really works so well for these icy themed soaps, because it just kind of makes it look more like little ice crystals, and it just kind of makes it a little bit more believable. Okay, so I have thoroughly coated these. Now, before this sets too much, I'm gonna start adding my embed. So for this design for our embeds, I have little red cherries that I have made. These are actually like a blueberry mold, but I think it looks really good for a cherry as well, and it never looks too off to me. So I just love how it looks, and I actually kind of like that the frosting itself is just a slightly bit duller red. That way these stick out a lot more. And then of course we have the little red straws here as well. So I'm just gonna start putting my little cherries on top, and I'm gonna kind of push those down, make sure they stay in really well. And we're just gonna add all of these across the top of them, and then we'll add the little straws. Okay, now we're gonna add the little straws. I'm just gonna kind of turn it this way a little bit. Put the little straws in here, and I'm just gonna put the cut side down on some of these just so those aren't as obvious. And just put all of our little straws in. Okay, so that is how the cherry slushy soap has turned out. We're gonna let this sit for a couple days, and we will come back and cut these open and see what they look like. Okay everyone, so we have the cherry slushy soap here. I've unmolded it and we are ready to cut it. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on its side. And I know we're gonna lose a little bit of these little salts on the top, so I'm just prepared to clean up another mess. I have to say, I love this technique to do these like soaps with the salts, but it is very, very messy, so just something to be aware of. So we're gonna start by cutting a little piece off the edge here. Okay, I'm just gonna dust some of these extra little salts off just to keep it from dragging against the soap. Okay, and we are going to make our first cut. Okay, and this is what the first soap looks like. This is a very interesting swirl. I kind of like this one a lot, and I like that it's different from the last slushy swirl that I did, so this is actually a really, really neat swirl. Okay, so overall this is what the soap looks like. I think this is such a fun, neat little soap. I like that the swirl pattern's a little bit different than the last one. So yeah, I am very happy with this one and I think it turned out great. Okay, so clearly you can see why I say put a lot more salt on than you think you're gonna want, because by the end, you're losing a lot of salt. So always put a little bit more on. All right, and this is how the final soap looks. This one is just very iconic, red slushie to me. I think it turned out so good, and you guys, the scent of this is great. If you like cherry scents, this one is a very strong scent, so definitely be aware if you are a little sensitive to scents. This one's pretty intense, but it lasts a long time, and I love that about it because it's not one of those scents that's just gonna disappear after you use it a couple times. Like this one is a pretty strong scent, and it's one of my favorite ones to use. So if you are interested in purchasing one of these soaps, it will be available on my Etsy shop on Saturday, January 1st at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, question of the day, which is your favorite, a slushie or an icy, or water ice? If you're not familiar with water ice, I didn't know what it was either until last summer when I went on vacation and I tried some, and it's kind of like this own unique thing. I don't really know how to describe it, but what is your favorite, ices and slushies or water ice? So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, link is below, and until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.